The Almost Perfect Podcast.
Welcome to the Almost Perfect Podcast, a celebration of fuck ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. I'm a perfect and I'm a functional fuck up. Let's learn from somebody else's mistakes. And today we are learning from 3 ex-guests of this podcast because I've been gallivanting around Joburg. By that I mean I caught a train to Rosebank and one of them came here to Benoni. But yeah, I got three ex-guests. We have got Eric Jansen, we have got Rofhiwa Maneta, and we have got Leah Jazz all coming back for the second time. Just for a little check-in, a little catch-up, finding out how things have gone since the last time they were on this podcast. And they have 3 very, very different stories. Their lives have all been very different from each other, and they've all done rather different things. So this is going to be quite a fun experiment of a podcast. It's been so rad actually just getting to sit down across from someone and talk to them. Like, that's how this podcast started out, was just me and someone, often in a coffee shop where it was noisy as fuck, trying to have a conversation. So that's, we're returning to our roots with this one. But just in general, man, I've had such a great week. I've had such a great time up here. Like I said last week, I think, probably, I don't really remember. I was a little bit drunk. It's been fucking cool getting to see my gran. It's been so rad. It's been, we talking a lot. Like every day we chat quite a lot, and I help her I've been cooking a ton. I'm basically the chef here. That's my role for now. Although I'm heading back on Saturday. So yeah, I've just been the chef and then also a bit of a handyman. I installed a dishwasher the other day, and yeah, fixed a few different things around the house. So that's been cool. And then yeah, just motivating her while she's doing her exercises. She's got to try and pull bottle caps out of Play-Doh as one of her things, and with the stroke having basically paralyzed the left side, it's a struggle. It's a real struggle to be able to do that, but she gets it done with some complaining, and that's definitely relatable. But that's been kind of inspiring to watch, to see her constantly actually improving and getting better. Like, she's able to walk a bit unassisted, whereas when she came out, she had to use a walker. So slowly but surely, each day 1% improvement and all of that. She is getting better, and it's been truly heartwarming to see. But I've managed to spend quite a bit of time with some other people. For the weekend, I went and played some Magic the Gathering. There was a big series of tournaments, and my friend Karan Chetty invited me around. And yeah, we had a big crew of people. We were playing together, we were testing together, we were going out and eating and drinking together, and it was really just a wonderful experience when you haven't done that for so long. Like, I don't know, even the waiting between rounds wasn't that excruciating, and usually that's the reason why I prefer playing digital Magic these days. So yeah, being able to just hang out with people, being able to do things, because being somewhat vaccinated at least offers protections, and they did do a great job at the tournament, to make sure that everyone was wearing their masks inside. There were sanitizing stations at every table, and yeah, they're very conscious and considerate of the fact that we are in a panini. So that was cool. And then I got to do this. I got to chat. I got to catch up with a few different friends, and then some of those chats were recorded, and you're about to hear them. The first one is with Eric Jansen. He came and joined me at the Wimpy here in Benoni in Ryan View. So yeah, it's we had to pass a mic back and forth because I only brought one up. I wasn't really planning to do this. Like, I was hoping to have another interview scheduled and to just be able to rock the one mic from my side and they rock the vibe from their side. But that didn't happen. And so it's a happy accident that managed to get this together. But yeah, there's some passing of the mic between me and Eric, and yeah, things for him have been a struggle, like for many of us, and he's open and honest about it. We chat about, what it's like to to get back into comedy at the moment. What are the realities of the situation from his side, And that was cool getting to discuss that because I'm looking to get back into comedy at the moment. I've put out word that I'm going to be organizing some gigs in Durban, and yeah, I've been chatting to some people and have some ideas, and slowly but surely would like to return to the stage. And yeah, it's after chatting to Eric, slightly less positive, but earlier today I chatted to Carbon Goldstone on the phone. Like we just had a conversation about it, and he seems pretty amped. He thinks that things are looking actually pretty positive at the moment, and that is one of my mom's dogs. That is Zeus, of course. Shout outs to Zeus. Not sure what he's barking at, but yeah, it's an interesting time to be a comedian. I'll tell you that much. Like some people have been performing throughout the pandemic and that, and a lot of people haven't, and a lot of us are now wondering what is our place in all of this. So Eric and I chat about that a bit. Leah and I chat a bit about that. We chatted a bit about the getting back into comedy and what that feels like. Obviously, Rofhiwa not a comedian, so we didn't chat about that, but we did chat about his dad and his book. And if you listen to the last episode, we chatted, about the book that he was writing. It is now finished, and it's coming out. It's coming out in November. So look out for that. We do chat a lot about that just now. But it was super cool getting to meet Rofhiwa for the first time. I've never met the dude, and we've followed each other on the internet for like 6 years now. So that was fucking cool. And we actually ended up outside of the podcast chatting for like 2 hours. So that's what I say. Like I've just had like such a rad time just being able to really talk to people. Even after these chats, I chatted to Mojak Lohoko. We went for lunch. I said we went for lunch. He took me out and treated me to an absolute feast at this one spot in Parkhurst, the place with all the whiskey. If you know where that place is, you know where we went. And we had such a sick conversation just about life and everything, and comedy and the scene. And yeah, it was everything I fucking needed. I'll be honest with you. It's been a long time since I've got to do these things, get to see friends, and yeah, not stress too much about it. Because obviously I've been more stressed about it just because of the whole fact that I've got older people in my family who I've been responsible for quite a while now. I've been helping out, and obviously, I mean, I got COVID at one point, but that was after my grand moved from Durban to Joburg and all of that, and so. But yeah, for a large portion of the pandemic, I've been very, very, very just cautious because I knew almost at any point that I'd be seeing my gran, and then I was living with my gran. So it was just one of those things where I had to, even if I felt some other way about things, if I was like, oh, it's okay, we can risk things, for ourselves, which I still think is not the smartest way to go about things. But if that's you and you don't have any grannies to kill, then yeah, live your life. But yeah, that was always my stress. And now that that's slightly less of a stress, I am amped to get back on stage, but do it in ways that are safe and that are considerate of the fact that we are still living in quite strange times. So yeah, that's it. That's the intro. That's all I got to tell you for now. I will kind of introduce each section as we go along. So yeah, for now, let me quickly shout out the patrons over at patreon.com/almostperfect. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by you, which means that you can support it by going to patreon.com/almostperfect. You can also buy a mug. They are 100 Rand each, and 10 Rand from each sale goes to Sasonke, which is an organization that is working to decriminalize sex work in South Africa. You can check them out over at sasonke.org.za. Also, we have t-shirts. A lot of people have been buying them. I've actually managed to make a whole new order. We sold out of the first batch, which is fucking amazing. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude, and it really does just make me feel like, hey, band's gonna make it, man. Band's gonna make it. So thank you if you've bought one, and if you haven't yet, well, they are 150 Rand each. For now, you got to hit me up at bob@almostperfect.co.za, but I will have an online store set up sometime. It'll happen. It'll happen. And then, yeah, you can just make it through there. But yeah, 150 Rand each, and delivery is $90. I was doing 85 Rand delivery, but I forgot about like tax and shit. So kind of took a little loss on some of the deliveries. But it's okay. It's okay. It's an investment in the brand. So yeah, that's how you can support it. Or you can go to patreon.com/almost perfect, where there are multiple tiers that you can support on a monthly basis. $1, $5, and $10. They each have various benefits to them, which you can check out for yourself. But over at the $10 tier, which is the titular titles tier, you can pick your title right here at Almost Perfect Media. So for now, let's give our shout outs to, of course, Neil Green, who is the key grip. Shout outs to Rousseau, who is the Chief Sales Officer of Subtle Heresies in the Greater Overberg region. Shout outs to Vishendra Naidu, our spiritual advisor. Shout outs to our Director of Purchasing, that is Riz Ventura. Shout outs to Inevitable Ruler of the Universe and Queen Swifty, Kath Jenkin. Shout outs to Julian, who is our king. Shout outs to Karan Sleman, the Almost Perfect hedge fund manager. Shout outs to Karan Chetty, who is the assistant to the regional manager. This is going to be a little inside joke for Karan, but look at me. Look at me. I'm the regional manager now. So yeah, shout outs to Karan. Honestly, had a phenomenal weekend with him. And if you're into Magic the Gathering, we recorded an episode of the MTG Sharks that should be coming out pretty soon. I filled back in my role as host just for old time's sake. But yeah, it's a cool podcast if you're into Magic the Gathering. And Karan has taken over hosting duties from me, as I'm just not that like active in the game anymore, and like I feel like a bit of a scrub, especially after my results. Anyway, shout outs, of course, to Stephen Olivier, who is the executive producer. Shout outs to our pantsless weasel, that is Tyron Love. And shout outs to our anonymous benefactor. And with that out the way, I guess I gotta let you know, yeah, Eric and I told you a little bit about what Eric and I chatted about, but we also get into Herbalife. That's it. I'm just gonna say that. And I'll let you make your judgments as we get into it. So here comes the mini Almost Perfect podcast with Eric Jansen. How are you living, Eric?
I'm good, man. I'm okay. I'm living. I'm back again. I remember the last time we did this was in like a dingy kitcheners with loud DJ music. DJ didn't even care. He saw us talking and he's like, I'm gonna press play.
Bro, and that's the only episode of the podcast that's been copyrights flagged on YouTube. Yeah, because of the fucking music playing in the background. It's just so funny. So yeah, we're coming at you from a Wimpy, or the smoking section of a Wimpy, which is now my official studio for today. Yeah, in Rhinefield, in Benoni, because this is where I'm at these days. But you are an eastbound and somewhat down kind of guy.
Yeah, man, this is my hometown. I live like 20 minutes from here, 15 minutes on a good day with no traffic. Yeah, this is my hood. My not mechanic, our panel beater, our family panel beater, before he left the country to go home during the middle of the pandemic. His shop is actually like around the corner. Dude fixed a couple of our cars for like really cheap and did a good job as well. Yeah, fixed my ex-girlfriend's car and then she cheated on me. Fun times.
We've been having many fun times over the last few years. Hey, it's funny because this is actually the first time I'm doing an in-person interview in over a year and a half, basically. Yeah, so I've actually realized that I've done more interviews via remote recording than I actually have in person. When this thing started out as an in-person thing, and that was like the whole vibe of it. And I'm sure you have had some fairly similar experiences with not being able to fucking do comedy for the last year. So how's things been going?
It's been tough. It's been quite the experience, because now you are looking for other things to do outside of comedy. And I don't know how it was for you, but for me, having finished matric and jumped straight into comedy, that's been 7 years of my life. It is literally my livelihood. So I was just like, what do I do now? Yeah, so I just got fat, and then I played games. I played a lot of PlayStation, and then yeah, that was basically what happened. Yeah, I just coped by eating and being in front of a TV screen. Oh, I watched a shitload of series too. That was nice. And then yeah, that's basically, it's so wild that I haven't thought about this until you just asked me this now, because I haven't done anything, man. I didn't even write. Like, I had ideas and I was like, that's funny, I'm gonna write it down, but my book is empty. Like, there's nothing going on.
That's, I think, relatable in some ways. Although I weirdly have if I look back at it, been really fucking productive considering we're in a pandemic. Like if I put that qualifier on it, it's like I've managed to at least get a lot of stuff done. And just like for this, it's so weird though, because in 2020, like I had my fucking goals, like my list of like 2020, like goals and habits to aspire to. Like that list was nearly a page long. This year, release a podcast every Friday. That's fucking it.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I had my list, and then my list fell apart, and then I was like, survive. Let's start there. Let's just make it through the next year and let the debit orders not hurt my feelings. I think that's as far as I've gone. 2020, I was supposed to go to the States. I was supposed to come back. I was supposed to study. From studying, I was supposed to start like a photography business. From the photography business, like do more stage time. From the stage time, get into more auditions, more acting gigs, and work hard enough to leave the house, to not live with my parents. 2020, I lived with my parents. That's basically what happened. I played games, I ate food.
Yeah, your vision board just got chucked to the fucking bed, bro. Well, yeah, we actually had a good time together for a while playing some Apex Legends along with Mojack. And like, I'll be honest, dude, during the peak of the pandemic, that was the highlight of my fucking life. Just getting to hang out with you guys and just getting to talk and just getting to like, be a part of a thing. And like, especially because like you and Mo are two of my favorite people up here. And like, you're people who I don't necessarily get to hang out with in general. So that was such a cool part of it, at least, is like being able to connect with people virtually. Like, man, this weekend was the first time I really got to hang out with people in a year and a half. And like today and tomorrow are going to be days where I like meet up and do this with a bunch of different people. And it's like, it's cool that I feel like I haven't even missed a step. Like, it's like, oh, okay, cool, can just get back into this. Whereas before I was like, oh, I'm going to be like socially anxious and this and that. And maybe I have been, and maybe that's why I haven't done any of this yet,
You did say it's been a year and a half.
Exactly. But one thing we were chatting about before I hit record was the prospect of getting back on stage, because I'm busy currently looking at organizing gigs, and I want to do my one man, and I want to record that fucking thing, because I've got another one man I already want to fucking do, So it's like, and I've had this thing I've been sitting on for so long. But how are you feeling about things? Because I was saying, like, I feel like I can get on stage and just be funny now.
No. That muscle has not flexed in a while. That muscle has gone through, what is the thing? The reverse. Atrophy. The reverse of hypertrophy, if that's how you pronounce the word. Hypertrophy. Yeah, no, it's just gone small as hell. So yeah, look, but that's what I'm saying to you. Like, I've just gone back to being a matriculant. I don't have a job. It's rough. So getting back on stage for me has become a very daunting thought, because I don't consider doing gigs where I do material that I've been doing for a while, me getting on stage. Because that's like reading from the textbook. You have the notes, you made the notes already, it works. So that's cool. But the prospect of getting back on stage again and starting and doing new stuff, I'm just like, it sounds like a good idea. And these jokes were funny to me and my girlfriend who stayed with me during lockdown. But there's a world out there of people who think differently, who aren't like depending on me for survival or depending on her for survival. So them laughing is literally based off of what I'm saying, not because of a prejudice that they have. So I don't know. I might get on in the next couple of months. And funny enough, I was having this conversation with Dylan yesterday, because he's like, he hasn't been seeing me at gigs. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not 18 anymore. I said it like I'm a 40-year-old man. But at age 18, I was fearless. There was no pandemic. The prospect of getting work was at least a lot bigger. So you could have that income to, do gigs and get money and fuel yourself to get to comedy. But now it's like, oh man, I have to choose. Am I eating or am I being funny?
Why not both?
That's chips and gigs no more.
And it's also, so a part of the way like the comedy scene used to work, at least, was, even if you weren't performing, you would go watch gigs and that, and you become a part of the vibe, and that's how people put you on, like you show up enough times and someone will say, hey, why don't you come to my gig and that. But these days, if you haven't been working, you don't have fucking petrol money to go to fucking gigs to like, and it's also, we're still in a fucking pandemic. We're still in a panini. So it's like, yeah, we're in a pantoffels. Middle of a pancake. 2 pancakes squished together with just shit in the middle. Like that's what this last vibe has been. But what was I gonna say? Like I mean, but it's also like, I don't know, like I think this time period's also been a period for everyone to kind of really realize what they want out of all of this. And, you know, like I don't necessarily care about being part of the boys club and like being a part of like, you know, the team and the crew and everyone pushing the thing together. And I think a lot of people are kind of feeling that way.
See, the big thing is that being part of the boys and the club now is the thing that gets you the gigs. So if you're not a part of that, you are focused on just getting by your own steam. And that's very difficult because if you were doing gigs with the boys before, but now you're not doing gigs with the boys because you don't have funds or you can't get to comedy, then it becomes rough because now you are stuck. Now you're just like, I wish I had money to go to gigs, but I don't have a job, so I don't have money. And in order to get a job, I need money so that I can buy things, so that I can get to my... So it's just like a terrible, terrible pyramid that keeps falling on top of itself, which is the worst shit ever. And then when you do get a gig, then people are like, this guy's elite because he doesn't leave the house unless he's getting paid. Yeah, because they don't have fucking money. And even when I get money, that same money is going towards petrol so that I can get home. And then I have to buy groceries at home, and then I don't have money again, and then the cycle repeats itself. So it's just a shit show. But even starting gigs, man, like I have this gig coming up on Thursday. If you're listening to this in 2022, you are a year and 9 months late. The 30th of September, 2021, I have a gig, and I've sold 20 tickets. Yeah, I've sold 20 tickets. The room seats 200 people.
Well, that's making me feel a bit shit because I want to book you for dope.
It's bad, man. It hurts. It really hurts. But now, on the flip side, what I can tell you is that if you are doing gigs with somebody who has been active, who has been pushing like an agenda, and they are in the public eye, like I did a weekend with Alfred Adrian, that was fun because he's got a sold out room. And not just that, we went to small towns where people hold on to the memory of whoever they saw on TV. So because I was on Sia Vanderlaan like the year before and earlier in this year, they were like, holy shit, this guy's opening for Alfred. This is insane. So after the show, if I'm not taking pictures of 9 people, one person is asking me for a picture, and that makes me feel good because then I'm like, I have not been forgotten yet.
Bro, it's like doing gigs with Carvin. You're always the cameraman. Like, you're always the fucking cameraman. But I was actually going to ask about that, you know, like, I guess that is kind of the thing is if you're a smaller comedian, you know, I say, you shouldn't necessarily be in that category, but like compared to Alfred, like, you know, he's someone who has genuinely worked his ass off, like with his videos and stuff like that, to draw such a big audience. So that's at least been cool. Like, you've at least had some great gigs. Yeah. But now you're in this weird little limbo where it's just like you're back to the old grind of comedy of just trying to like fill fucking seats. And what do you think it is? Why do you think people are still apprehensive about coming to comedy shows? Is it because we're in the middle of 2 pancakes and some shit?
Yeah, look, I mean, the panorama has a big deal in this whole thing. That's the first thing. The second thing is people don't have money. People aren't working, so they in the same situation we're in, except theirs is worse because they don't have this passion that they need to fulfill. So they are just like, and I'm not shitting on you guys if you guys are listening and you don't have aspirations. I mean, some people don't. Some people are like really content with working a 9 to 5 their whole lives.
That is the aspiration.
Yeah, I mean, that's your thing. Yeah, save your money, retire, do your thing. I understand that fully. But like for people like us who need to be out, I don't know what it is in us that is causing us to want to feel like this and be in front of a stage or in front of an audience all day. But like that's just our lives. And we can't do that because we don't have money. And you guys can't come to shows because you don't have money. So if you guys don't work, we don't work, which is terrible. Go to work, man. Like start a business. Shit. Quit being lazy. Put off this podcast. Go. Okay, cool. So it's the money thing, it's the pandemic thing. And then also, I don't know if it started yet. Bless you. I don't know if it started yet, but I think the whole vaccination thing, some places have already like put forward if you haven't been vaccinated, don't come. Because I know that's been happening in the acting sphere. That you're going to do.
Yeah, so the gigs I'm going to be putting on in Durban will be proof of vaccination gigs. Oh, shit. Like, I feel really strongly about like that as a moral like thing. I mean, that's why I haven't done anything, dude, for like the last year and a half. Like, I could have been organizing gigs this whole time. I could have been doing stuff. But to me, it was just the whole thing of like, I don't want to risk anyone else's life. Like, that's it. Even if you are risking your life to come and do this thing, you know, like we're all agreeing to be a part of it. I still never felt comfortable with that. And like, as far as I understand, if everyone in the room is vaccinated, the chances of anything bad happening are pretty fucking low. And that's the thing. So I'll do that because I'll create that space for people who are like that. Because also, if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're not gonna fucking enjoy my comedy.
You've got other shit you need to deal with first. It starts with a polio shot. That's funny. No, well, I don't know about that. So the thing that has happened with like me in particular is we had COVID the beginning of August. Yeah, we were sick as hell, man. Like just knocking on the door, just like, hey man, I could be going at any moment. That's like how sick we were. And we recovered, we're like back up and running and stuff. But now we obviously had to wait the necessary 35 days, which actually happens 2 days from now, which is Wednesday. So we're not going to, no, Thursday, sorry. Well, we're not going to be able to vaccinate until then. But now the shitty part is once you get, have you been vaccinated? Okay, you've got your first shot. So side effects after the first shot? Okay. Maybe I'll do it soon then. No, because my thing is,
If you've had it already, the side effects are really low.
Oh, okay, cool. Now I'm doing it after this. I'm gonna register. I'm gonna register immediately. So the thing is, there's so many things that are happening so quickly now after the 35 days. Now I'm just like, what if that day that I have the gap to go and get the vax, I'm sick again, and then I'm just like, this is a shit show.
Yeah, but if like the cool thing about getting COVID is it at least provides you with some modicum of protection. Yeah. Like that's how our bodies work, you know. That's the whole point of vaccines and stuff. So I was chatting to some doctor friends over the weekend, like about like lots of things. But one of the things they said was like you've essentially had 2, shots already of the thing because you got COVID, and then I got the first shot. So it's like this is essentially going to be like a booster shot, like. So there's some small benefits to catching COVID. Like if you got it already, like yeah, fuck, I didn't even have a choice. So it was just like I was just like, can I have a vaccine? And they're like, yeah, take this one. It was just like, cool. Yeah, but yeah, I found the experience to be pretty mellow. Like didn't really like it hurts and maybe a little bit of lethargy and stuff. But like compared to having COVID, the vaccine is fucking nothing. Yeah, man. So you like okay? One thing we can chat about since you're wearing the shirt,
yes,
and this is something that everyone says is a scam, but you're actually basically paying. You're living off of this shit. This is how you're doing the things that you're doing is Herbalife.
Yeah, man.
So how did you start selling Herbalife? Because I know you're selling chickens, and I assume this is a little bit of a step up.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I'm going from one piece of material to a whole bunch of shit. No, man, I started because a guy that I went to school with has been in the business for the past like 3 years. And I'm not going to lie to you, in the past year, this dude, look, I think this is also the problem with the timing of my sign up. So he started, he was lazy. He didn't work for like 6 or 7 months, or I think it's a year, he said, because he was working for a company. I'm not going to mention the name, obviously. He was working and he was making good money, but he wasn't happy because it took his weekends. And then someone told him sign up. He signed up and he just didn't focus on the business. And then he started doing it. And in the past year, so between, I'd say the beginning of COVID and November last year, the dude bought a house. He bought a new car and he's living his best life. All he has to, no, but this is the thing. He's like in this thing. He's doing it properly. He's got like a team under him that he works with, and everybody's pulling their weight and everybody's making their money. Now, where people think the scam comes in is people like me who are half committed. So you're not in it enough to know enough, and then you approach somebody and then they think it's a scam. So like me trying to sign you up now, I can't give you exactly all the details. I know the stuff, but I can't do it like that because you're going to be like, nah, this sounds like a scam. Instead of showing you like a presentation, coming with my laptop, going, yo, this is how it works. This is what we do. This is how it works. This is how the sign-up process works. If you sign someone up, it doesn't mean you get money. It just means that this person is on your team. And like in a job, if no one works, no one gets paid. That's essentially what it is. It's multi-level marketing. It's not a Ponzi scheme. So if you are at the top, you are benefiting from the people who signed up under you only if they are doing the same work that you did. So you are basically just teaching them to do what you did to get to where you are making. But he's not teaching me, which is the shit part. So yeah, I just need to learn more.
You just said something that's a blatant contradiction. It's multi-level marketing, but it's not a Ponzi scheme.
No, but it isn't.
It's the same thing. It's a fucking pyramid. Does it not look like a pyramid? Does it not look like a pyramid from the top? It's what you just said to me, not a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you very nicely because this is a good example that they used when I did my research. No, they didn't train me. I went and I did my own research, unlike the anti-vaxxers. But like, this is the thing. So, for example, I am at the top of said pyramid, and you are under me in this pyramid because I signed you up. But you starting your own listen, please just listen to me. Let me explain this nicely. You start your own branch. If I don't work, I don't benefit. So I can't just sign up 10 people and do nothing because then these people just have access to the business through me. But if I'm doing the work, then I can benefit off of things that you are doing. So if I sign you up and I do jack shit, but you decide you're going to sign up the rest of the world, if you sign up 7 billion people under you and all 7 billion of you are working, that means you are making money. But that's what I'm saying. So if you do the work and you have people under you doing the work as well, you are benefiting. If you are not doing the work, you don't benefit. So if you don't put effort in, you don't get shit out. If you sign people up and no one's doing anything, you're just signing people up and wasting time. And then you make it hard for me to sign them up because then they have to do a change of sponsorship form. It's like when you buy a car. It's like, that change of ownership. Yeah, it's literally that thing. So then they have to change. And man, it's just a mission. It's a mission. It's not but that's what I'm saying to you. Like the Ponzi scheme is basically you sign me up, you get paid. I sign someone up, both of us get paid. And that's how it goes. But if this is like, oh shit, we took the Ponzi out of it. Just a scheme. It's just a scheme, son. Get busy. It's a scheme.
Oh, fuck. But that's the thing. Like, you've got, like, salesman skills. You've got, like, that kind of stuff. So why do you say, like, you're not really working at it now? Are you half-assing it or whatever?
So the thing is, most of this is result-based. So I can't sell stuff yet. I can because of the sales skill, like you said, but I don't have the physical proof. Like, I've been in this thing, and the products are pricey, but pricey for a reason because they work. If you use the products for like 2 months straight, you are definitely going to see results because not only are you using the products, you're changing your life, you're eating healthier. You're not going to be sitting at Wimpy on a Tuesday afternoon eating a burger. You're going to be at home making your own salad. You're going to be at home frying your own chicken that I sold you the week before. Like, that's how it works. You are going to make the necessary changes to live a healthier lifestyle, and that's all that they're trying to promote. But like I said to you, the reason people believe it's a Ponzi scheme is because a lot of people will sell you the thing on you can lose all of this weight in 30 days. You can lose all of this weight. No. But that's the thing. So that's the lie. I'm not trying to sell you a quick fix. I'm trying to tell you, yo, if you stick with me and do what I'm doing, I can help you. I'm not going to like do the thing for you. I can't do the thing for you. It's your body. You need to choose. But if you're not going to do it, then tough shit, man. You're going to stay the way you are. I had to have this conversation. I feel like I'm representing them now.
Well, it's more just representing yourself within it, like essentially, because I also think like a lot of people have probably wondered, they see your Instagram stories and are like, is Eric a part of a cult now?
You were asking why am I not fully in it? So that's the other thing. The other thing around it is there's a big saturation in the market at the moment because everybody's trying to do it. And the problem is, it's not the problem. If you are one of these people, I appreciate you. I'm just never opening the door. It's like Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, it's door to door. It's just, yo, can we tell you about our Lord and Savior? No, don't do that. You can't. No, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. So the big thing is I'm focusing on doing as much as I can within the business first, in terms of products, in terms of learning, in terms of all of that, before I go haywire with trying to sign people up, trying to change people's lives. Because if I can't do it for myself, how can I promise it to you? And that's what most people aren't doing. Most people just go through the first week of training and then they're like, we're going to conquer the world. And now when you message someone and you're like, yo, man, you're looking good. What's happening? And they're like, we don't want Herbalife. And you're like, man, I didn't even say anything yet. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions and plant the seed. And you're hitting me with cement lines. I don't know. So yeah, that's the big thing. So I'm not trying to do what everyone else that is failing in the business is doing. I'm just taking a different approach to it. And also I have a couple of like personal trainer friends who have shat on me for doing this. And then I was like, guys, I'm not taking business from you. I'm going to push people towards you. Like, I'm trying to help everybody because that's the main thing with the business. And also get mad rich. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I'm hoping it works out for you. But if not, and someone's listening and they want a good salesman, Eric, what's it?
Put me in, coach. _Eric Jansen _ because Eric Jansen doesn't want to give me my handle. Yeah, like I had to message this guy. I think he's from Thailand, and I think the account is dead because I've messaged him like 3 times and he hasn't seen any of the messages. He's just got Eric Jansen as a username, and I'm like, yo, man, I need that shit. And then the guy on Twitter is a doctor, so he's definitely not giving me that shit. And I'm like, you don't even tweet cool shit, and you live in the Netherlands. Give me my fucking name. I'm trying to be famous here.
Cool. So _ Eric Jansen for anyone who wants Herbalife products, for anyone who wants to change their life. Do you want to change your life? You can do it tomorrow. You can do it tomorrow. What you do is you download the Nike Training Club app, and then you just do that for free. Anyway, yeah, thanks for your time, Eric. I know it's been a difficult year, but it has been fucking wonderful to catch up with you.
It's been fun. It's been cool, and I'm happy to see you rocking the mustache, looking like a police officer and shit. It's dope, man. It's nice to see you. And I'd like to come back again a year from now when I have started making a success of this so that I can convert all of your... No, I'm not going to convert anybody. I'm just going to do my own shit and live my best life.
Yeah, I think anyone that listens to my podcast that wants to get their shit together already has. Like no one who's listening to this is going to start gymming tomorrow. So yeah, if you do start gymming tomorrow and you want some supplements to help you, hit Eric up. But yeah, that was an interesting chat, wasn't it? I'm still of the belief that multi-level marketing is just an extravagant way to create a Ponzi scheme. But I'm hoping things work out for Eric. As you can see, being a comedian in these times is not easy. I know a lot of friends over the weekend were saying like, yo, things have been hard for you guys. And like, it genuinely has. Thankfully, I, just dug down and threw myself into other avenues. But it's crazy when the thing that you were doing is no longer the thing you can do. And then you got to try to figure out how to do it again. So shout outs to Eric. I know he'll bounce back. I know he's such a good comedian. He's so fucking funny. So go check him out. If you ever see his name on a bill, you will not be disappointed. And yeah, I'll definitely be getting him into Durban sometime next year, so you can catch him at a show with me if you come down there. And I'm also planning to actually maybe organize some shows in Joburg. So we'll see how that all plays out. Anyway, up next is Rofhiwa Maneta. We met up at Father Coffee in Rosebank Mall. And yeah, this was also a really interesting chat. Like I said, it was so cool to actually get to meet Rofhiwa, and we chatted for ages, both before and afterwards. Like, I think in ways we were definitely kindred spirits, and different lives, different vibes, but I don't know, we also connect in a lot of cool ways. So I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it was cool to catch up and hear how things have gone with the book, see what he's doing to promote it and other projects that he's creating with it and those sorts of things. So yeah, here comes the mini Almost Perfect podcast with Rofhiwa Maneta. Cool. So how are you living, Rofhiwa?
Pretty good. So yeah, I'm just been busy with work, preparing for the book. Obviously just sold me like I wish this was one of those podcasts with cameras. Bob just sold me like a really cool t-shirt and a bag with like a woman with roses. It's a pretty cool tote bag, but yeah, I'm living good. Just mostly preparing for the book launch.
Yeah, the bag you've got is an ALCX Louis de Villiers collab with my wonderful girlfriend, Paige Finesse. And yeah, it's a dope bag. It's the last one. So you've got a rare piece of art there. But this book, I see it's now finally been, is it finished? You've finished it. You've done it. And I see it's being pushed now by the publishers. You've got a release date. So how are you feeling, bro?
No, firstly, it feels great, but also like I'm a bit over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I mean, like, I think the thing with books is, so by the time the book's released, there's a lot of like, sort of exterior background work that's happened. Like, I've been writing this thing for like 2.5 years. Yeah, at some point I was literally just like to my publisher, like, fuck, I can't stomach like doing another rewrite of this thing. Like, you're just going to have to publish this. This is it. So, yeah, I mean, we have November 2021. So, yeah, we don't have a specific date, but November 2021. Yeah, so, I mean, just preparing for interviews. There are a few cool things I'm doing, like multimedia stuff for the book. But, Yeah, no. I feel really good. I think I told you before, like I've self-published 4 books before this, and I was proud of some of them. I think some others were okay, but with this one, like there were sentences I read and I thought, shit, like I can't believe I wrote that. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I get like 2 of those sentences a year, so like, I'm a little jealous there, but I guess the constant iteration, I mean, the writing, the rewriting, it gets you there. Like you're going to, like that's the thing about writing that people know and people also don't know. It's that your first draft is your first draft. It doesn't have to have the most flowery stuff. It just needs to get the story down there, and from there, like you can start filling it out, and every now and again you'll just be walking and a line comes and you're just like, oh, let me quickly write that down, like that's got to go there, that's like I need this. But in terms of promoting the book, you said you were doing some multimedia. Are you going to be promoting this thing on TikTok at all, or what's the situation there?
Yeah, so definitely not on TikTok because I don't think it's the market, but so we've shot kind of like a few. Because essentially, just to give context to someone who might be listening to this for the first time, I wrote a book about my dad, was a detective for 30 years, homicide detective. Some of the videos are just like attempts at recreating the scenes. Like, so I'll read, so like just stuff like that. Talking about some cases he's been involved in. With some eerie videos. There's like an audio/musical book I did. So my brother made the music for that and I was reading over the music he made. And then this one's really slow. Like I'm also making a comic like based on that. But yeah, it's just so expensive. It's just so expensive. So, I mean, I think with that, I might just release like a page every other month just because it's so expensive. But yeah, so just looking for ways for people to interact with the work outside of just like having a copy of the book.
That's actually really dope. I was about to say, so they're giving you budget for this if you're coming with all these videos and this and that. But I really like the comic idea as well. Who are you getting to draw it and help? Are you going to do the scripting for it as well, or what's the situation?
Cool. So I did the scripting myself. I actually, the illustrator is a girl named Alyssa. Like I actually found her on Twitter. She's from the US. And so I only used her because she was the cheapest. Like, yeah. I mean, like a while back, like I put out a call out and I was like, can anyone help me put together a comic? And she responded among some other people. But I didn't know how much it cost until people started quoting me. And I mean, there was a guy who was really good, but I think just as in like a back-to-back page would have cost like upwards of 12,000, and yeah, I was just like, his work was amazing, but I was just like, yo, bruh, and this is going to be something like 50 pages, you know what I mean? So I'm using her, and the idea is that, I'm hoping I can put together like 3 or 4 pages and then maybe crowdfund the rest of the money. But yeah, I'm scripting it. So it's going to be called The Book of Amos because my dad's name is Amos, but he's also a religious dude. And yeah, so the idea is that at some point I don't want to give too much away, but at some point he was hunting down a serial killer. And so it's basically specifically a recounting of that case with some religious imagery sort of thrown in between.
Knowing what I've paid illustrators in the past, 12 grand for 2 pages is about right. Is it? Yeah, 6 grand a page is like in terms of the hours, like because it's about the amount of work that they put in. And then like illustrators I've worked with probably $5.50 an hour, like. So yeah, I mean it's real work though, and it's cool that you found someone who's like that you can actually collaborate with. And I like the idea of crowdfunding because I think it might actually work, and I think it's something that people then know it's a tangible like thing. Once you've got the 4 pages, and people love supporting shit like that, and you've got a bit of a fan base that's been growing and growing and growing over the last little while. But I wanted to know, has your dad read the book yet?
He did. So yeah, he did. So he read the manuscript. Before I sent it off to the publishers, I was obviously like, okay, cool. Before this is published, because this is your life we're talking about, and we're sort of like, we're discussing how you solve the cases, but we're discussing sort of like the interior of your thinking, like how it is you caught the suspect, some of your biases and stuff like that. So he read it. It was weird because initially he thought this was just going to be a book about what an amazing detective he is. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think 1 month into the interview process, he soon realized that the kind of book he would want written about him was not the kind of book I wanted to write. So there were a few compromises we had to make on both our parts. But yeah, man, I'm glad it's over. Like I think I enjoyed interviewing my dad, but I also, at some point, like I had to take a step back, because I remember there was this one point where I was interviewing him and he was telling me how there was a suspect, there was someone who'd been murdered and thrown into a river. And then while they were trying to collect the body, like the person's hand snapped. And I mean, like pretty gruesome, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of felt like a bit ashamed afterwards because I was interviewing him, but I kept like, zoning in on that point. But how did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? And he was eventually like, dude, I see what you're trying to do. Like, it didn't make me feel like any sort of way. This was my job. Yeah. So it's like, I see what you're trying to do. Like, cut it out. But yeah, no, he read it and he was pretty happy with it. And I mean, I've always said, I want people to enjoy my books. With this one, like if my dad's the only person who enjoys the book, like I think I've done my job. Like I can say that honestly, he enjoyed it. He thought it was beautiful, and yeah, I think job done.
Yeah, bro, I can't even imagine what that process is like, because when you're writing about something as a journalist, you're usually removed from it, and it makes life a hell of a lot easier because you can be a lot more honest. But when it's someone who you love, someone who's brought you up, like I could never be honest about like my mom's life with other people, like, like genuinely, like it's not fair, And so, because I know I've done comedy and I've done jokes, and like I'll take the piss out of my dad mostly, but like, yeah, the jokes with my mom, I definitely have softer and kinder hands. But what are some of the considerations when you're then writing? Because as you're saying, you're trying to write a different book than he would have wanted. So he wanted a book that's like super cop, like, top dog. And what were you going for?
I mean, initially I wanted just, sort of like a book, that recounts his career. So something a bit like super cop. But yeah, I mean, at some point it changed. Like I wanted it to talk about, like use him as an entry point to discuss like policing and violence in South Africa as a whole. But yeah, I mean, the obvious considerations I had to make, like, so for example, we disagree about whether we need like policing as a whole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously grew up like on hip hop. And so, I remember, like, to give you we chat about this in the last time. I remember the last time we were talking about, sort of police brutality. And there was a point where my dad was like, dude, like, you don't know what it's like to have someone point a gun at you. Like, I mean, and that's like sort of like your everyday life. And if you don't shoot first, you're not going to come out. And so it was like, and because we're discussing gun control, and it was like, yeah, this is cool because this is something you get to sort of like intellectualize, and but the reality is completely different. So yeah, I mean, there were times where I had to, like, he'd say things like, and I thought like, this might come off as a bit problematic, I'm putting that in air quotes, but then I thought, okay, cool, like, but this is who my dad is. This is what he thinks, I just always had to be conscious of the fact that I wasn't writing a Twitter thread. I was writing an honest account of my father's work as a policeman. And so if someone reads it and, they don't agree with some of his thinking, then yeah, I mean, so be it. But yeah, I just wanted to be as honest as possible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, people also just need to get over this whole fucking thing of, like, other people having different opinions of them make them, like, the devil. Like, because it's also, if it's not your, like, I mean, I've obviously said lots of stuff about cops, and I sometimes feel some type of way about it because, like, I know the job isn't easy. I know that, they do stuff that is helpful and important in a lot of ways, but I also understand the structures and all of those things. And I get, like, how we can intellectualize these things, but at the end of the day, the reality on the streets is almost unimaginable. I mean, unless you watch The Wire, then you've got, like, a bit of a better understanding of the things. But, like, I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood where things were, like, pretty rough and pretty dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, and, like, lots of drugs, lots of, just sex workers and just...
I thought you were fucking around when you said you grew up there. Yeah, no, I thought you were... No, because that place is rough. Like, I've told you, my mom's from KZN originally. Yeah, like, I think you said in a podcast, you're from... And I was like, fuck, really? Like, yeah, no, that place is... Yeah, some of the stuff that happens there is unimaginable.
Yeah, I mean, I did, when I was younger, the one thing that's always kind of stuck out in my mind, I had my skateboard, so I was probably about 12 years old, going to go skateboarding. and there's a guy literally with a panga in his arm, like stuck in his shoulder, like running, and there's a guy chasing after him. And this is me just leaving my flat, and I was like, I know my other friends, my friends from up the hill, they don't experience things like this. But then I'll be honest, man, like being white in those areas, like you're still like, you see how much better your life is and like how much easier like things are for you than for other people. And it does just put things into perspective. And it's like, as much as Mbilo was a sketchy and rough kind of place, like, my life wasn't that hard in comparison to other people. So I never really, at this point, I mean, when I was younger, I used to like maybe ham it up a bit more and be like, oh yeah, I'm a poor white, But like... These days, I'm grateful for a lot of the lessons I've learned and for the perspective it's given me, because I've definitely know that it does separate me from a lot of my peers in some ways, because I do have experiences that they don't have, like, and an understanding of the world that they don't have. And that is the thing. And I think, like, bringing it back to the whole thing of cops is, like, I also think that people need to have some fucking empathy. Like, the left is always talking about being compassionate and empathetic, but never towards anyone that they have a problem with.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I think that also, like this in particular, made me empathize with my dad. So just to give you some context, when we started this entire thing, my father asked me like, okay, how candid do you want me to get? I was like, no, just be as honest as possible. So he gave me an arch lever file, and there were obviously photos, and whatever case we spoke to, he'd be like, okay, cool, this is what happened, here are some photos. And I remember there was one case in particular with a kid was killed by their mom, but the mom like ironed his eyes out and stuff like that. Yeah, man. And so I had a nightmare about that. Like, I mean, like a few, like, cause we spoke at length about that particular case. And I remember one night, like I had a nightmare about the kid. And yeah, like, I mean, it just made me empathize with my dad a whole lot more, because I thought, okay, cool. Like with him, like there was a sort of like continual, like sort of like like he was subjected to violence like that on a routine, constant trauma. And I was like, what must that have been like to sort of like have to do that, and then at 4:00 help your kids with your homework, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I mean, like he's actually thinking of going back into the police force. Like they want some retired detectives to come back in, but nah, man, I think that just made me empathize with him a bit more. I think it's easier to sort of like flog at people when you just see them as like part of a cog in a machine, as in like there's a police official who's part of just like, policing sort of like as an oppressive structure of the state. But I think you forget that some of those people are made, like that structure is made up of individuals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of the people throwing these barbs and these jabs work in fucking advertising. So you want to talk about systems of control and oppression and things that are fucking up the world and that are like having a genuinely negative impact on the human mind. Like, yeah, we can throw stones all day long. 100%. So I do think, like, yeah, we do need to reform policing. I think everyone can see that. I think cops know that. A lot of cops know that. Like the non-shitty cops, essentially, know that. But it's also, I mean, human beings have only been doing shit for a very short period of time. We really don't think about that, like how new everything constantly is all the time. Like even old things are new, like diamond rings for engagements. That shit's not even 100 years old. Yeah, it's oh man, it's crazy. But yeah, so books coming out pretty soon. Are we gonna see you? Have you been working on a movie script at all since you're doing everything else? Yeah,
I mean, I think I might as well. So there is a documentary in the works. I'm not at liberty to say who it's with, but yeah, I'm hoping I can get it onto a streaming platform. Like the conversation's going towards that direction. So yeah, not a movie per se, but like a documentary. And
Devil's Door, okay?
Yeah, my own Devil's Door, like with my dad as a main character. So yeah, that would be weird. But yeah, man, I think for me, like my late friend Pumlani. So Pumlani was a huge fan of this as like books not just being books, but like an entry point into other media. Like, and that's why I want to do a comic. That's why I'm hoping the documentary thing will pop off. I don't want people to just, because not everyone reads. I don't even know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm still hoping people will, get the story in some or other way. So yeah, documentaries in the works. I'm hoping by this time next year, like, yeah, it'll all be sorted, but yeah, definitely in the works.
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm kind of taking it in a, like, kind of similar approach. Like I've been writing this movie. I'm calling it Almost Perfect at the moment because it's my Almost Famous, but it's not going to be that. Like that's just a work in progress. But like it's fully with the intention that maybe I'll just turn this into a book once the script's done, like because that's just it's a personal thing. I don't know if I'm ever going to like try to get the movie made. I'll see how the script is after after a long time, because it's actually going to take a lot of work and like I don't like if to get the film made, I'd have to like put on a music festival, and like well, there aren't that many left. So, and it's basically like it's like the Almost Famous story, but done for me in South Africa with the realities of our systems and some experiences I went through in blogging and all of that. So we'll see if that ever becomes more of a thing, but I don't know. I think I'm slightly less ambitious than you in terms of actually getting stuff published. But shut, bro, this has been a great catch up. It's actually wonderful to meet you. Like, this is so funny. I was telling Eric yesterday that, like, I actually I thought this is how I was going to always do this podcast. And then the pandemic hit. And then I've done more interviews via remote recording than I have in person now, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, anything you want to leave the people at home with?
Yeah, no, so November 2021, the book's dropping. So yeah, it's called A Man of Fire Corpse. Come out via Blackbird Books. Yeah, I'm sure, like, if you want to follow me on Twitter at _Rofhiwa_. Yeah, no, still haven't quit. Like, I see you pretty much quit, but like, yeah, follow me on Twitter. Yeah, but also really dope to meet you. I think we first started talking in 2015, so like 6 years later. Finally met. So yeah, I mean, it's been pretty dope. Thanks for the bag, thanks for the catch up, and no worries, man. Yeah, so thanks for everything.
So yeah, that was Rofhiwa Maneta with his book A Man, a Corpse, a Fire. And yeah, like I think that was a very interesting and honest conversation. Like I say there, and stuff I've been thinking about. Of course, like a lot of us probably think if you're on the left that we need to abolish the police or we need to reform the police. But I also think there is a lot of value in knowing what it's like from that side, knowing what it's actually like to be a policeman and to go through the things that they go through. So I'm very, very, very keen to read that book and see some of the things that Rofhiwa was talking about in print for myself. Up next, we have got Leah Jazz. Now, Leah and I have been friends for a very, very long time. And we haven't chatted in quite a while, obviously because of the pandemic, and then also because, she's moved to Joburg, and she's, life's gone pretty well. We've gone from strength to strength. Last time we chatted, she was early morning with 5FM, and now she's at the 10 o'clock slot every weeknight, busy talking about sex and gender and a lot of interesting topics that I think are important to be discussed, in a public sphere and for people to learn more about and know more about. So we chat about that, we chat about her making the most of the platform that she's been given to try and discuss the things that she's very passionate about. And we also chat about some of those things on this podcast. I do say some things about gender and those sorts of things that some people might think is a little bit ignorant, but I was speaking my truth and I don't think I offended anyone. I don't know. But yeah, like gender is an interesting thing, and we all probably have different viewpoints on it. And I just tried to explain how I understand things and how I see things. And it's not like, I was transphobic or anything like that. As I say, I just don't know if I necessarily use all the correct language and probably at times, misspeak a little bit or misspoke a little bit. But you know me, I'm aight. Like, I'm aight. I'm not, I'm not the best, I'm not the wokest bloke, to tell jokes, but I'm learning. I'm trying to learn things. I'm trying to understand the world a bit better, trying to be a bit more compassionate and empathetic. And I think, we do chat about that. Leah and I chat a bit about that because she knew me when I was rather less chilled, if we can put it like that. So I thoroughly enjoyed getting to chat to Leah again and getting to see her and just getting to see just how good life is treating her. It's about damn time. So without further ado, here comes the mini Almost Perfect podcast with Leah Jazz. So how are you living, Leah?
I think I'm living well.
You think? I think so too, you know?
Yeah. Food in my belly, roof over my head, pool in the garden, 3 cats, a husband, not mine. But, yeah, loving it. Actually feeling like I'm in the best space that I've probably ever been in my life. So that feels good.
Which is, I mean, it's actually been really fun to watch your career from, afar now, because you made the big move to Joburg. I don't know, when we last chatted, where you were still you just started with 5, right?
I think so. I think I had just started at 5, which means I was still living in Durban, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think at that point I had kind of just moved into a place on my own. Wow, even trying to think that far back, like I feel like my memory is just
even
like
that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
I mean, this podcast has only been going for 3 years.
Yeah, and it's been 3. This is my 3rd contract season at 5, so I've been there for 2.5 years now, which is insane to me. This is the longest job I've ever held down. I've never been employed for this long in my life.
That is a little bit crazy. Like, yeah, because you are someone who's never really been tied down to anything. Who's always just been like trying to find things, like you're a creative person. And like, like I know, like, and especially in Durban, you tried your hand at many different facets of creative expressions. And it seems like you've really come into your own now. Like,
yeah. And I think I might have said last time that, I looked around for my thing for years and now I finally found my thing, but I'd only kind of just found it then. And I feel so much more secure in that now. I tried a lot of creative things. I mean, I have a background in writing and advertising, which is just the worst thing any human being can do to themselves. If you have a soul, don't go into advertising.
I mean, there's literally 90% of the audience is people who work in advertising, and I'd say about half of them hate it.
Well, that's great. Shout out to you if you work in advertising. I'm sorry about your soul. Hated it, and so glad that I could get out of it. I mean, I've kind of been in and out, and I still do the odd bit of copywriting from time to time and like freelancing because the hustle never stops. And also I work as a freelancer at work. So
what do you mean by that? Because from the outside, obviously, aren't you at 5FM? Aren't you a radio DJ? Isn't that like a full-time gig in its own right?
I think it depends where you work. I think some stations employ people full-time and you have like a medical aid and a pension and stuff. But no, I work as a contractor. So I'm contracted to work the hours that I work. But also still the pro is that I'm still a free agent. So I can basically do whatever I want in terms of other freelance work.
That's dope. So at least it opens it up. And has the 5FM thing opened up your avenues in terms of work that you can get?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say what has and hasn't affected work in the last couple of years.
Sure.
I've been so lucky to have a pretty stable gig at the moment. Even though we run on annual contracts, I'm like, every year around January, February, your contract's coming to an end in April and you're like, shit.
Yeah, anyone who's listened to the Sibs episode of this podcast would have a kind of understanding about what that like entails.
Yeah.
The fact that you're never that secure in radio in South Africa.
You're secure for a year at a time. And that year is great. And I think it's so important to make the most of it while you're there. When I got this show, the weekday show, I really wanted to grab it by the balls and do something that I really wanted to do with it. Like, I'm not playing it safe with this show at all because it's so important. Yeah, because it's so important to me. Like, it might not be there. I know that working in radio is not something you can do for a lifetime in South Africa. Like, it's just not. Like, you have an expiry date. And that was something I don't think I realized when I first got into radio. I was like, oh, this is so much fun. This is totally my thing. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to turn 30 one day.
Yeah, so that's the thing. When I started in radio, I was kind of like, oh, this isn't a thing like for me. Like, it's not going to be like a real career because of that, the fact that like, I mean, lots of different reasons why I think it's well documented why people don't generally let me on a live mic like too much.
But you just started at the other radio.
But that's a whole different ball game, and like that's me just being super chilled. Like it's blowing smoke with Bob. I'm not being I'm being more of a raconteur than anything, I'll tell some stories and that, but I'm not trying to be a rabble rouser.
Okay.
Whereas if you put me on national radio, I'm going to say some things that some people are going to get upset about. Have you had any complaints yet?
So far, not that I know of. We get the occasional, you are from Satan pushing the vaccine and like that kind of nonsense.
Mellow.
But that's mellow. I've got a couple of creeps actually, because I talk about sex, on the show.
Late at night.
And Sorry?
late at night. So
Late at
it's
night,
like-
exactly. So, you know, the kinds of people who are up, I didn't really think about that, but in the beginning, especially, and they're occasionally, I think someone must have blocked the one guy on the WhatsApp line because he was always hitting these voice notes going, hello, this is whatever my name is from this place. And I'm like, oh, I kind of get a weird vibe from you. Not because of his voice, but because of the things he was saying.
Fair.
But there was one guy when it was kind of like an AMA, you know, ask me anything, like sex advice questions. And this guy was like, hi, why is it that when you go down on a woman, it just feels so nice to feel it all over your face? And I was just like, this is not appropriate. So
That's a you thing, buddy.
so exactly. So I obviously like didn't play it out, but I went live and I was like, hi, I'm just here to let you know that just because I talk about sex does not make it okay for you to come in and be creepy on the WhatsApp line. Please respect yourself and respect me on this platform. I am also a human being. He deleted the message and he followed up with, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to offend you. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Well, that's actually cool because I mean, some people wouldn't respond that way. So it's rad that like you're at least. That's the thing. That's what I dig about your position now and like the show that you've got is it gives you this opportunity to do something that I think you've cared about a hell of a lot. So that is like talk about sex and make it more of a normal thing to talk about kinky things and talk about the way the body works. And Fiber Femo has given you quite a lot of freedom.
It really has. And I think, you know, you were talking about if it's opened up work avenues, maybe not so much in terms of bookings and gigs that I'm getting paid for yet, but it has given me the opportunity to speak to people who are a whole lot smarter than I am and who know so much more about the things that I'm interested in. So I've had such interesting guests coming on the show and talking about their particular fields of interest, talking about rope bondage and talking about masturbation, someone who wrote a book about masturbation in the US, talking on national radio in South Africa, talking about Sexual Debut with Nicole Hodges, who is a Canadian sexual freedom philosopher who's really into like psychedelics and sex. That's like her thing, is like kink, psychedelics and sex vibes. And she's kind of started this, well, she's spearheading this movement called Sexual Debut and talking about the reframing of virginity, for example, on air. I spoke to Cam Fraser, who's Australia's leading sex coach for men, because Women's Month came along and there's always one guy who's like, when do we get Men's Month?
Yeah.
From September to July. That is your Men's Month. But I was like, cool, if we're going to have a Men's Month, we're going to use it to talk about vulnerability with men. We're going to use it to interrogate why men are the way that they are, particularly in such a violent country. So I spoke to Cam and it was so interesting. He told me about man bucks theory. Do you know about man bucks theory?
Nope.
So it was this theory derived in the 80s where the theory is that men don't have, or masculinity doesn't have a definition outside of being the absence of femininity.
Okay.
Right? Because like, how would you describe masculinity?
Aggression.
Anything else?
Posturing.
So then what does positive masculinity look like?
Positive masculinity is it's like kindness, caring, but not that. It's a special word I'm trying to think of. Not tenderness. It's like when you grow a plant, what's that called?
Nurturing.
Nurturing, yes. Like,
but nurturing is traditionally seen as a feminine quality.
I don't see, like, okay, maybe because I grew up with just a mom, I see that role of a parent, you know, as being a nurturing role no matter what.
Yeah.
So I would assume that the male equivalent might, depending if it's a positive aspect, would be nurturing.
But parenthood is something that's thrust upon women way more than it is upon men.
Fair.
So, I mean, talking masculinity specifically, so the theory is that masculinity is the absence of femininity. So in order to be considered masculine, you cannot have any feminine qualities. The manliest of men are men who are not feminine.
Yeah.
So it's
They're
kind
also
of
psychopaths.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the box for what a man could be, sort of in the 80s, was, you know, like a provider, someone who could go and fight and be, you know, be in war,
so
go to work.
That's providing was probably more so than nurturing. Like,
but now, as the role of women has grown and expanded, the box for what femininity can be has grown larger, and therefore the man box gets smaller and smaller and more extreme. Because if being a provider is now a feminine quality, if being able to go to war is now a feminine quality, why doesn't
that just open the box up? Why does it make
I
it
agree
smaller?
with you. No, I agree with you. But if masculinity is defined by what femininity is not, if the
Then it
definition
will.
for what's femininity grows, then the man box gets smaller and smaller and more radical, and men feel less and less like they know who and what they are, because now if women can do anything, then what does that mean I can do? Where is my identity?
Yeah, but having your identity tied to your gender is silly anyway.
It's completely bullshit. I agree. But learning about that theory was really informative for me in terms of how I see masculinity, particularly in South Africa, where, you know, unemployment is so high. And now if
that
you can't
plays
get
a
a job,
role.
how are you going to be the provider? And now your wife is the provider. And you feel like that is an indictment on your masculinity.
But it's also, I don't know if it's an indictment on your masculinity so much as you just feel useless.
Sure,
Like,
but
which
I
is
mean,
an indictment on masculinity in its own
itself,
way.
yeah. But I mean, how many men feel like they have to be the man, you know, and be a man? Especially, you know, I think we probably both circulate in quite woke circles where
Yeah.
maybe the men that we know don't feel the need to be the man. But I don't think that that's a reflection on the majority. Sorry. I don't think that's a reflection on the majority of what
the world.
many men consider to be manhood.
I agree. Like that's the weird thing. It's like I do thankfully like roll in some pretty dope circles and like, you know, it's not that like everyone I chat to agrees with me. You know, and I've got a lot of friends who also aren't, you know, like super woke and super leftist and that, you know, they're more in the center and that. But those dudes also, like, to me, don't necessarily have too many toxic, you know, masculine traits. And so I do agree that there are elements to this thing that like really are problematic, but I guess, but it's also, it's just, I'm talking anecdotally, which is the issue.
And I think a lot of the time it is anecdotal, you know, and I don't think it is to say that all masculinity is therefore toxic. You know,
Yeah,
you can be
agreed.
masculine in a way that is not harmful. I think it's just about interrogating what masculinity is to you, because I think this performance of gender and masculinity and femininity is a performance that we play out without necessarily realizing that it's a performance.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of what so with my centrist friends, essentially, like I was having this discussion with them over the weekend about that, like, you know, because one of the guys was saying like he doesn't really understand like non-binary and trans stuff and that, and I was like, you know what, from a personal perspective, I also don't really understand it because I can't. It's not something I experience, but I do understand that like the way that our world is structured and the way that the roles that we play as human beings, those are things that don't need to exist or don't need to be the way that they are. They are things that we have been, you know, lied to, like essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it like if you had two children, like say you had twins and you in a remote location away from society, one born genetically male and one born genetically female, and you raise them in exactly the same way. Do you think that at the age of 10 they would get out into the world and the girl would immediately choose to wear skirts and the boy would gravitate to blue and she would go and get a little home kitchen and he would get dinosaurs and trucks? Like, no, those are things that are conditioned and taught into us.
Well,
from
purple used
such
to
a
be a
young
masculine
age.
color, blue used to be a feminine color. So
Yeah.
it's also like these things are like there's ever been a case of like gendered stuff being pointless and constantly shifting as well. That's a prime example. Men used to wear high heel shoes and wigs.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that
yeah.
used to be the-
powder on their faces.
Exactly. Like so many of the beauty standards for women came from men.
Yeah. And beauty standards and gendered coding is constantly changing, which means it's not real. Right?
Exactly.
It's not an inherent function of who we are on a biological level. And so gender is played out as a performance.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's essentially what I was also like, just trying to get across with them because, once again, I am mostly straight white male. So, like, I don't have the perspective that, like, other people might have, but I can definitely see that, like, the mostly straight white male are all, other than, you know, the fact that, like, that is what I am, are also just constructs and also just roles that I play, like, in life, you know? Like, I don't necessarily have to, like, be, like, this thing, there's obviously parts of that are intrinsic to you, like whiteness, like you are protected by it in a lot of ways, and maleness protected by it in a lot of ways, and straightness protected by it in a lot of ways. But at the same time, you don't necessarily have to like make that your identity.
And I also think on that note, because those things are performances and social constructs, they are subject to change.
Yeah.
And that's quite exciting to me.
Yes, exactly. You can, you don't have to stay in that role.
Not just that you don't have to stay in that role, but that role won't necessarily mean the thing that it means now forever.
Sure.
Those things are subject to change. And I think we're a long way from that utopia. But I think we have also made a lot of progress in terms of gender equality, hopefully racial equality, and at least in terms of people standing up. And I think because we know that things are not static, that they're capable of shifting, that is heartening for me for the future.
Same. like, you know, you do see progress, as they say, like happening constantly. I mean, and also regression, but that's also just life, you know, it's ebbs and flows, and you have some victories, you have some losses. Culture is constantly battling to win out, you know, like
Yeah. And I think power and dominance is like an inherent struggle of not just humanity, but like all nature, all
Exactly.
natural things. So if there is a structure that has obtained power, it's not going to be easy for them to let it go. They're not going to be like, oh, sure, that's fine. Let's just like reframe this thing that has been particularly beneficial for us, you know. But so it's a fight, you know, and it's a constant fight every day. And you have to make that decision to choose your side.
Yeah, that's every day, all day you're making
All day,
choices.
every day, yes.
One thing I don't want to ask you is, when are you getting back on stage to do some
my
comedy? Because I'm
God.
sure, like, you probably, because actually the last gig I was meant to do before COVID hit was your gig at Butcher Block.
Oh my God, yes, it was. Oh, to think I haven't been on stage since then is like terrifying. And I think the longer I leave it, the scarier it gets. But I also think there's something about taking a step back. Like, I didn't write a lot in the last pandemic. You know,
No,
like I haven't written a hell of a lot. And like there are a few things and a few stories I'd like to tell. But also like I'm so happy now. I don't have jokes. No. I did an online gig, or I did the Savannah Virtual Comedy Bar kind of halfway
Okay.
through
How was that?
lockdown. It was okay.
I think I'm probably blacklisted from that. Who runs it?
At the time, it was John Fismus.
Okay, yeah, I'm blacklisted from that.
Who had contacted me to do it. And it was just such a cool thing, but also a weird thing to like stand in your lounge and say your comedy set, and then like, you know, you get used to like pausing for laugh, and then there's no
Exactly.
laugh, and then there's just an awkward silence, and you're like, okay, moving swiftly on from the crickets.
Yeah, I've constantly been wanting to do like a live Twitch thing and just try like some jokes out that way. But now I just think I'm just going to do some shows in my lounge, like to like 10 people, and that would be better for me.
Yeah, no, it is quite awkward. Getting on stage, it feels daunting, but I also do crave it. You know, I miss that energy, that feedback from a crowd. And now that, I mean, I'm fully vaxxed, and hopefully lots of people will be fully vaxxed in the next few weeks. It would be really nice to see some stuff happening around November, December. Actually, I'm not even going to be here in November, but December. Like, it's cool in December because most of Joburg goes to the coast.
Yeah.
So people who are left behind are looking for stuff to do.
Yeah,
so,
although it's weird because most comedy gigs in the past were usually shut down by about the 16th. You know, like I would come up here and there wouldn't be any gigs.
yeah, because everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't mind maybe trying to put something together around that time, because I feel like the stakes will be lower. You know, there's only 50 people in Joburg, and if 5 of them come to the show, then that's enough, you know.
Well, if you do that, let me know.
I will definitely let you know. It's a daunting thing, and I really feel the pressure to not come back and tell jokes that I've told before. Also because I think my context has changed. So a lot of my material from before is irrelevant to where I was in my life at the time. But now, like, looking around, I'm like, you know, pressed ceilings.
I've got the same in my flat.
You
so
know?
it's not the exact kind, but it's definitely like, yeah, I can't be telling these on Beelo Boy jokes anymore. 'Cause it's like, it's not my reality.
Exactly. I can't be telling these like single person jokes anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm single for this next joke.
So yeah. Just pretend. Let me just take this off. You know. So yeah, I feel like there's a reframing of the context that I live in now that I need to maybe write for, and I feel the pressure for that because I mean,
I get that the whole process needs to start over, but I'm in a different kind of position on that. Like I've had this one man show that like I've been like reiterating on the whole time throughout COVID and that, you know, but like I just want to fucking do this thing because it's like,
oh my God, I can't believe that you wrote a show called The End of the World and then the world literally ended before you could perform it.
yeah, I did it once. Like I literally got to do it once, and then it's now called It's Not the End of the World.
Oh, great.
And like it has,
I like that. I like this positive spin on bars.
yeah, and it has also shifted. It's a little bit more hopeful, which is weird.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've grown to be more optimistic in the last 18 months?
I don't even know if optimistic is the thing. I just feel like, I mean, I've gone through some major depressive episodes and shit, but like, and like people who listen to podcasts will know, like since I've started meditating, it's really fucking helped. Like just like, I don't know, man, things just aren't as heavy. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm just not feeling as stressed about anything. I'm very much taking the whole, like, it's a dance, life's a dance, just enjoy it, just, go with the highs, go with the lows, and just fucking ride it out. Like, there's nothing more I can really do. And like, I'm tired of having these weird ambitions and like feeling resentful because like I'm not getting to where I want to go and stuff, and rather just like, yeah, just been reframing things. And so I don't know if it's optimism so much as just a contentment. And like, I'm super stoked with I'm super stoked with my life. Like, it's cool. Like, I've got cool friends. I've got cool, like, everything. Like, the money shit sucks, and that's it. Everything else is rad.
But that makes me so happy to hear, because I mean, I've known you for a while, and I feel like you're more of an optimistic cynic at the moment. And also just, I mean, I haven't seen you in so long, but seeing you online and growing I can see that contentness with yourself.
I mean, that's
growing
also why
in
I'm
you.
not spending as much time online, and it's actually helped.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't known you to be a particularly happy person at all times,
No, I'm always moaning about something.
Yeah, and you've never been afraid to, not just call a spade, but to really
dig it in.
Yeah, really dig it in, and to call shit out, and to, trademark DIY cynicism. And like, thinking back to like what's the right word? The heretic that I met running Durban Is Yours in like 2013. You're a different person now, and I think that you have a lot to be proud of.
Thanks.
From who you are and who you've become.
That's honestly how I feel as well. Like, it's an intentional. I've been working at it for years, like, to be a better person. Like, so, and it's also, I mean, a part of it is, dating someone who I want to be a better person for, because it's also like, I was a bit of a fucking dickhead, like a shitty misogynistic, like, guy who really didn't, like, nihilistic as well. So I didn't really care much about other people. I did, but like, I didn't, like, and yeah, I think I've become more compassionate. It's more empathetic, and just in general, yeah, it's not all about me anymore,
That's cool. That's really cool. It's nice to see the nihilism growing to optimistic cynicism.
I mean, it's still nihilism. It's just not like, I mean, I still think nothing matters, like, the sun explodes, it gets erased. Like, that's it. But that's cool. Like, that's not a problem.
Control-Z human experience.
Yeah, but we still get to experience this. Like, so why does there have to be meaning? Like, just enjoy it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'm happy that you've come to that point.
Cool. We'll see how it goes. Maybe in 3 months' time, I'm just gonna be back to like being a weird, depressive.
Stay meditating, please. Just meditate.
Yeah, it's that. I've also like just been getting back into a good routine and stuff, and writing and exercising and just doing all the things they tell you to do.
Yeah.
But I know
funny how that works.
I know, but I do know like there's probably some lows ahead of me, and I'll have to deal with them. But I just feel like I'm also just at a point where like, yeah, it used to be me against the world, and now it's just me in the world.
That's cool. That's really cool. And it's funny. I also feel that sense of like, things are going so well. I'm like, when is shit gonna hit the fan? Like, it's like this like eerie silence. I'm like, am I in the eye? Like, when the fuck is the storm coming? Like, because I almost don't want to believe that things can be good. Yeah. That things can permanently be good. And then I've seen things kind of wax and wane, and the lows have come, but the lows have been so manageable. And I think in that I can acknowledge, because I know that when things are good, things will get bad again. I think when things are bad, I know that they'll get better. That's exactly it. Like, that's what I've kind of also like really learned to like value, is like, it swings and roundabouts. Things will not always be as they are, and that's okay. Yeah. It's the whole, it's the Jojo Rabbit shit, like, as well, of like, let everything happen to you. Like, yeah, let it happen to you and respond in the best way that you can, Amen. I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks, Bob. Nah, thank you, Leah. That was fantastic. What a rad chat that was. What a cool conversation. And if you notice that it sounded a little bit better, a little less microphone going from hand to hand, that's because obviously Leah is in radio, so had a bunch of microphones lying around. A few of them didn't work. They were too fancy. But eventually we got one that did, and managed to get that conversation on the record. And I hope you enjoyed this little experiment. This first of a thing that I might do a couple times a year. We'll see how it goes. But I enjoyed that. So I hope you enjoyed that.
and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye bye.